do that? Me, man. That's right. Me, Andy Armstrong from the Big Band Square One out of Barbados. Don't go nowhere. Nah, nah, nah.
Well, Crop Over is a Barbadian event spawned by the Barbadian experience, actually going all the way back to slavery. And in fact, it was the one occasion that the slaves and the masters actually got together and partied in a genuine fashion. Was after the crop, which is the sugarcane harvest, was over. That's when the hard times were finished and they had a nice party. And actually, they actually burned an effigy of Mr. Harding to represent hard times being over.
And people mingled, and jollification and friendliness was the order of the day, even if only for a day.
That festival died off after emancipation in the 1830s. It was revived in 1974 by the Barbados government, mainly as a way of having an attraction to lure more visitors to Barbados, because over the years tourism has become our #1 industry. When we revived that festival, a strange thing happened. Barbadians embraced it wholeheartedly, and I believe that was so because Barbadians recognize it as their own. This is something that went all the way back. You can't even, these are intangibles that you really can't touch, and Barbadians embraced it and it just started to grow.
You mentioned some of the difficulties you had initially with the marketing concept, Crop Over.
Right.
They mentioned, change it to carnival.
Right.
But yes, like you said, this is indicative of your culture. Talk about that briefly for a moment.
Yes, well, in the early days, remember we would talk to the travel trade, North America, Europe, that we bring the time. We work with them in terms of marketing Barbados. And I remember in the early days, they would say to us, some of them would say to us, look, why Crop Over? We never heard of Crop Over.
Yes.
And if we're going to encourage people to come to Barbados, why don't you call it carnival? Because they know what carnival is. Carnival is, you come down, you party, you have a good time and so on. Exactly.
It's not a party.
Right. It's more than a party. In fact, the slogan for Crop Over is, it's more than a carnival. So we said to them, look, that's a reasonable suggestion, but we think that the power in what we're trying to do here is the fact that this is an indigenous Barbadian event, is that this is peculiarly Barbadian, and we can differentiate it from all the other happenings out there. And we resisted changing the name, because we could have.
Yes.
We could have easily changed it and called it carnival and tried to promote with the other carnivals, but we resisted that.
Right.
And I think it has proved to be the correct decision.
Yes.
Because I think Barbadians have gone out there and performed and created the kind of product that I think the world respects and appreciates at this point in time.
Now talk about some of the events, because we have Crop Over, but we have Pickety Crop, we have the Grand Condonement, we have so many activities going on here.
Right. In fact, by the way, all those words are Barbadian words. There's another one called Cahoblapot.
Cahoblapot.
Which means, you have a big container and you mix everything up in there. That's what Cahoblapot is. The Cahoblapot, that takes place tonight, which is Sunday night. And that, like I told you, it's a mixture of all the best of Barbadian culture in the pot that night at the National Stadium. You're going to have about 30,000 people there tonight, and it's going to be one big jam, as you would say in the States.
I done woman and I stay, I take shit in my bed. Inside the bedroom, she 2 legs round my head. The woman cannot talk, man, she cannot say a word. In terms of language, no, this is what I heard.